What's up, guys? Welcome to the Busch League season recap and playoff preview. Here with Colin. Really excited to do this video. The regular season is over. We are now into the playoffs. If you missed the playoffs, and by that I mean Jake, Mikey T, Kelly, and SP. Sorry, man. Good luck next year. SP takes last place 2 years in a row. It's embarrassing. He was much better this year, but it definitely sucks to get it 2 years in a row. Colin, any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, definitely a lot better than last year
Yeah.
in terms of team. They're just injuries, man.
Dude,
They're a
his
bitch, and
injuries
they'll get
just
you.
his injuries just killed him, man. Eckler, Godwin was injured. Henry wasn't doing much early. I mean, and Dak
Dak.
Prescott, all of his quarterbacks he picked up, just led him to last place. And even then, he almost squeezed by because Kelly just got reamed by points against, and he should have been much better this year. Kelly actually had a good enough team to maybe squeeze into the playoffs, but didn't happen. So I guess let's go ahead and get into the season recap as far as the placements go. But first, let's take a minute to thank the sponsor of today's show, and that's Jeek's Dad's Hole Filler. Do you have a hole that needs to be filled? Are you missing teeth? Live in Plainfield, Illinois? Well, Jeek's Dad's Hole Filler is a solution for you. It can fill any hole around the house, particularly family members who are their son. Daily use is recommended, and this product just straight up works. Son won't stop talking out of their asshole. Jeek's Dad's Hole Filler will solve the problem and fill Jeek's hole. Jeek said, "This product really works, and I use it almost nightly. 100% recommended." Pick up some Jeek's Dad's Hole Filler at your local Jeek's house, one location in Plainfield, Illinois. Jeek is an actual customer and is not paid by Jeek's Dad's Hole Filler to speak about the product. All right, let's go ahead and get into the season recap. Let's go ahead and just start it off with the final standings. Coming in first place was Brennan. And we'll kind of break down each team just quickly, going down the standings, and that's kind of how we'll do this. Brennan, 11-2. What an impressive record. It's kind of unlike Brennan to have this sort of record and be so dominant as far as record goes. Any comments specifically on Brennan's team this year? I'll just start off by saying I think he's overcome a lot, especially earlier in the season with a lot of injuries, and somehow still squeezed out 11 wins. I think that's just crazy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with the way he drafted, I definitely was a little worried.
Cam Akers in the third round.
Yeah, that was a big surprise. Not gonna lie, I was a bit thrown off, but at that time I was like, maybe he knows more than I do about it. But I mean, it came full circle. I don't think he's even on his team anymore. So
I think you picked him back up.
Man.
I think you picked him back up.
Oh wow! Well, there you go.
Hey, he's heating up now. That's a good pickup.
Oh yeah. I mean, against this New England defense, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, Brennan, at first, it didn't seem like he was scoring that many points, but he actually turned out to be, I think, the third or fourth highest scorer behind you, me, and Tom. Points against was just a lot less than me, than Tom. Kelly, 1792 given up. Brennan was 1466. That's over 300 points, or 2 really good weeks from a team, or 3 just average weeks of around 100 points. That's insane. But that's what happens. That's fantasy football. So, Brennan, congratulations on getting first place in the regular season. It's time to show in the playoffs. You will have a first-round bye, so that's great. Let's move on to my team. And I guess I'm just going to pat my own back. You can comment after, but I think I had a pretty good season for a lot that I've overcome. I went running back early on in the draft. I took Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, and Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has been trash. Aaron Jones he's been good, but he's not the same. Last week he just saved himself with a huge run. He hasn't been great. He's had like a 50% snap share. It hasn't been awesome. And Christian McCaffrey's clearly been injured all year. I was really excited to get the first overall pick so I can have CMC on my team. And when he's been in my lineup, he's been awesome. But hoping to have him back in the playoffs, which it's looking that way. So cross my fingers on that one. But I've put up the second most points in the league. I'm in second place, so that's fitting. I've also been scored on the second most. So to have that means I've been in a lot of good matchups and won those matchups. So I feel pretty good about my 8-5 record. Any comments on my team?
Well, yeah, like you said, you've had close matchups. I think our first matchup, I lost, but I think because Andrew's dropped a touchdown or something.
Oh man, I remember that.
So that was like like week 3 or something. I think it's
Yeah.
like that alone. Like even just with me was close. But yeah, I mean, you put up points all year. Your wide receivers with your running backs are unreal. If you would have had your healthy running backs all year, I don't think it's any contest really.
Yeah, if Miles Sanders just
Um,
isn't super trash, like the Eagles don't suck. Maybe something's different, but man, this last
yeah,
matchup between me and Tom was I think it was the matchup of the year, man. We both put up over
yeah,
160 points, and it ended up coming down to just like 5 points or a 4 point margin, that kind of thing. That's crazy. It was for the first round bye too. It was so exciting last
yeah.
night. Last night I was
Very
watching the
fitting.
game. Yeah, exactly. Last night I was watching the game, and Breezy was freaking out that I was texting saying, "Oh, they're about to kick a 55-yarder." They were literally in position to. The Dallas kicked like a swib kick and ended up giving Baltimore really good field position to just run out the clock. They ended up having a 3rd and 3 on like the 38, and all they had to do was kick a field goal from be on the 35-yard line. That's a 52-yard field goal, and that's what he needed. And they ended up getting the first down, and that's literally
Mm-hmm.
what sealed the win for me. If they didn't get that first down, Justin Tucker would have came out one of the best kickers in the league and probably kicked a 52-plus yard field goal, and I would have lost. That would have been crazy. I'm sorry, Tom. I know you really would. You need that. You have a lot of bad luck, and that was just more of it. And multiple weeks in a row, of just going against the highest score. But hey, I'll take the first round bye, so I feel pretty good about that.
And he missed a field goal
He did miss a field
earlier in the
goal.
game.
Yeah, if he made that, it wouldn't have changed anything. It would only
Well,
been
isn't that's a
a
4 point swing? No.
yeah, but I think he was down by 5 or 5.2
Oh,
or something like that. So
gotcha.
it would have been even closer. That would have been even more sucky. Uh,
Yeah.
let's move on to Jeek's team. This is gonna be a fun one. Finishes 8-5, gets 3rd place. Only puts up 1,508 points. That is the second least amount of points scored in the league, and has 1,470 points scored against, which next to Brennan, who's in first place, that's the second least amount of points against. Schedule means everything in fantasy football, and it's clearly showing here. I'm glad Jeek's there because I like the teams to be mixed up in the playoffs every other year and whatnot. Like next year, I hope Kelly makes it. I hope SB makes it. That'd be good for the league and whatnot. I like when it
Oh yeah.
mixes it up. So Jeek, you're there, man. I'm glad you're playing Breezy. I hope you can give him the goods, because beating Breezy's fun. It's definitely fun.
I think Breezy's nervous, to be honest, especially with Joe Mixon out too.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that when we get to the playoff preview. But talking about Jeek's team in general, drafting Darius Geis around 7. We give
Yeah.
him Cole Kmet. Obviously, he drops him. And Jeek's team overall, he's been wide receiver heavy. He's got a lot of good wide receivers. David Montgomery has really picked up for him the last couple weeks with this just dream stretch of matchups. He's got another one this week against Houston. Like I said, we'll talk about that in the playoff preview. But Jeek's 8-5, man. He's there. Tom's super mad because he scored over 280 points more than him. Yet he's in
Holy
fourth
crap.
place
I
because
didn't even realize that.
yes, that many more points, and Jeek is ahead of him. So record will do that. He's got the third overall record. So or second, he's tied for second with me. But yeah, the points are way different. Points against, points for says it all here. But congratulations, Jeek. You've gotten 3rd place, and that's great. Love it for the league. Let's move on to Tabi Tribbiani. Scores the most points in the league, 1,783. Just fantastic. Tom's team has really been consistent all year long, and it's super impressive because he lost Saquon Barkley in week 2, and he didn't even have a good week 1. And obviously, you'll probably talk about it, but your trade with involving James Robinson and Stephon Diggs, I don't think it's really hurt either of you. Clearly, you would have liked to have James Robinson on your team, but Stephon Diggs has been a really, really good wide receiver. He's been awesome in Buffalo. Fun to watch. Any comments?
Oh, absolutely.
Tom's team, your trade, anything?
So Tom's team, it's literally insane because he probably should have more points scored if he set the right lineup each week. Because I think he's the worst manager like 4 or 5 times or something.
Crazy.
But like it's just crazy how much he could have scored like throughout the year.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that like obviously losing Saquon, that alone is a very big hill to go over. But then obviously the trade between him and I worked out for him very well. I mean, obviously like losing Diggs isn't the greatest, but I mean, James Robinson's a top 5 running back, which probably Saquon would have been. So it's essentially replaced Saquon almost immediately. So that was huge for him, but like it was also huge for me because I think I think Diggs is the only wide receiver to not have a game outside like a top 50 wide receiver. So
Yeah.
he's had double digits each game he's played. So
Yeah, Tom
to
was
not,
missing Carson for multiple weeks. I mean, he could have scored a lot more points. And luckily, he got rid of Diggs, which would have been great for his team, but he needed more help at running back. He actually has a lot of good wide receivers. A little tidbit information here. This is not collusion. On draft day, I did give him some tips as far as telling him who Deontay Johnson was, and that I couldn't draft him because I had Juju Smith-Schuster on my team. Hindsight. Now Juju's not on my team, and I wish I drafted Deontay Johnson. Like, that's what I
yeah.
wish. I didn't tell him to draft him. I said, hey, I can't believe anyone's not drafting this guy. This guy's going to be great. I just can't fucking take him. And Tom took him, and he's just so good. He's Ben's favorite target, and they're throwing the ball so much. So good to have him on the
Easily.
team. Tom's got to play you in round one, so that's going to be fun. Let's move on to your team. Your team. You were not looking great early on, Colin. You weren't, and Dalvin Cook came down the road, and he got you some fantasy victories, man. He did. He had some single-handedly winning you the week performances, and that's awesome because
Absolutely.
Dalvin Cook has struggled to stay healthy in some years and whatnot, and most games he's been out there and he's been killing it for you. They just run the ball so much, they give him the ball so much. He's so involved in the offense. It's really fun to watch, and as we mentioned, Stephon Diggs. That's awesome. He's been playing so well and whatnot, and the rest of your team is just really good. You've really picked it up, and you definitely deserve this fifth spot. I think five like perfectly describes your team this year. Like
Oh yeah,
it
100%.
wasn't like amazing. You made some trades with Breezy involving Nick Chubb when he was injured and whatnot, and you did what you had to do to get into the five spot. But you're in the show now. So any comments on your team? How you feel about it?
Well, I'm honestly happy to be where I'm at because 4 weeks ago it wasn't looking pretty. I think I was 3-6 at one point. So like I literally won the last 4 weeks to like
Crazy.
solidify like where I was, like where I am.
Yep.
So like that I'm thankful for sure because I would have been so mad if I would have missed the playoffs twice in a row
Yeah.
because it's never a good feeling. You don't ever want to miss the playoffs.
No.
So like I was just very happy that like I was able to put together a stretch to like get me to here because I think I have a solid team. Sometimes they just don't all like to play together. Sometimes they just like have to have boom weeks and like other people have really bad weeks. But now
Yeah.
I feel like I've put together a consistent team, so I'm pretty happy about it and looking forward to facing Tom for the third time this year. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Definitely gonna be fun. We'll get into that. Moving on to Breezy's team. It seems like year after year he's getting into the playoffs in that sixth spot by points. And you got to commend him for it. You got to score the points. That's why you do it. You got to hope for all points. Can't just go on record here. Luckily, he basically did make it in the playoffs on record anyway because no one else is 6-7. It's you at 7-6 in the five spot, and then Jake and Mike at 5 and 8 below him. So he would have got in no matter what if we didn't do the point system. But his team is like the definition of a hodgepodge team all year long. He's had Matt Ryan in, he's had Tannehill in, he's started Tannehill, he's started Matt Ryan in the wrong spot. All these things. Calvin Ridley's been awesome for him. He's kind of slowed down, but early in the season he was like the number one wide receiver. That was awesome. And then of course we have to talk about Younghoe Koo. I can't get enough shit that I dropped him. He had an injury. It's tough to keep a kicker on your
Yeah.
bench. It just is, and he was even really good when I dropped him. But
Yeah,
the
he
Falcons,
definitely wasn't like the number one then, but like
I think he was.
it's tough to hold him.
He was like he might have been like number 3. But I picked up Jason Sanders, and he's been really good too. Like it's a kicker, and I know Younghoe Koo's
Yeah.
great. But in the same like time, he was losing points with Calvin Ridley and Matt Ryan. Like they weren't scoring, they were kicking field goals. Like that's what was happening. So fantastic that you have a great kicker, but you're losing points in losing weeks because your quarterback and your wide receiver were not scoring them. So that's what happened, for
Yeah.
your team particularly. If anyone else would have picked him up, it would have been a lot more meaningful to their team if they didn't have anyone on the Falcons. So great kicker. It's always great to have a good one. The number one. He scores the most points. He's had
Absolutely.
injury issues with Joe Mixon. That's going to continue this week. I don't think he's going to play. And then he got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb for you for Kenyon Drake. And that's been pretty good. Or not Kareem Hunt. Didn't get Kareem Hunt from you. He got Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb's been
Yeah.
great. Right now, apparently he's not slated in his lineup. I don't know why.
Yeah,
work.
he took both him and Kareem Hunt. I think he's scared of
I
Baltimore's defense.
Yeah, he's well, whatever. I won't say. I'm not going to tell him how to set his lineup, but he's got Jamal Williams in there right now over both of those guys. So whatever. And yeah, not much more to say about Breezy's team. It was pretty good. He's a sixth place team, and that's what he is. Moving on to Jake.
Some weird trades, maybe.
Yeah, he's done exactly. The Will Fuller trade hurt him. We could talk about that, but I don't want to. That's a fluke, and I feel bad for him. I think it was a good trade because Zeke was struggling and Amari was just okay without Dak and Andy Dalton at quarterback. He's just okay. And Will Fuller was great. He was a wide receiver 1, and he got screwed. But let's see if he can overcome adversity in the playoffs and make a run. We'll see. And then we got Jake, ex-champion, just missing the playoffs. He's got Patty Mahomes. He's got Locke. He's got A.J. Brown, Claypool. Another hodgepodge team. If you look at this lineup, it doesn't look like a playoff team. He's got some good pieces and whatnot, but Tyler Lockett, I'm not trying to be rude. It just doesn't. His running backs have been awful. He drafted Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon. Like those were like the old guys where you could maybe take a shot on one of them, but certainly not two of them. And they both haven't worked out. It hasn't been good. He had a great tight end early in the year in Jonnu, and he's fallen off a cliff. He's picked up Chase Claypool. He's been good, but he's kind of steadied out. A.J. Brown's been pretty good since when he plays. Other than that, like it's just not a playoff team, and he knows it. It's nothing bad. I'm not saying anything bad about him. If you look at this team, it's just not. Patrick Mahomes is the best player, and that's his quarterback. Yeah. It's not a 2-quarterback league or anything like that. So I don't want to spend too much.
It's like a few pieces that do really well.
Yeah, and it's not enough. You got to have a lot of your players got to score double digits if you want to win every week. So I see why it's 5-8.
Yep.
Let's move on to Mikey T, first year in the league. How far are we at? We're like 20 minutes in. Mikey T only scored 1,500 points. That is the second lowest in the league, next to SB. Not impressive, Sorry, Mike. It happens, especially in year one. You learn about the competition, the type of league you're in. I'm glad you're here, man. The draft trip was great. You chugged those beers on our team and got the W for us. That was
unreal.
Awesome. Were you on the team?
Yeah.
You were on our team? I forgot who's on. It was you, me, SB, Mike, and someone else. I forgot who's the last. Was it Kelly? I think it might have been Kelly.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know, but we are the champion. He took it
upon himself and just did it all.
That we are the champion celebration was amazing. It was otherworldly. But he's had issues. Shit. We had running back as well. James Conner has not been reliable at all. He's been injured. Darrell Henderson was a decent pickup. Julio Jones has been injured all year. He picked up Justin Herbert, which was a great pickup. He ended up being really good for him, being his starting quarterback. He traded me DK Metcalf for DJ Moore and Juju. And Juju picked it up after that, and so did DJ Moore. And DK's been amazing. I low-key don't think it was that bad of a trade in hindsight. I think if he started both those guys in his lineup every week, I think they actually did pretty good for him overall. So it's tough to lose, one of the top 5 receivers in fantasy and in the league, I think. But he had to do what he had to do. He was losing. He couldn't do enough, though. Didn't get him in the playoffs. He's 5-8 in the 8th spot. Moving on to Kelly's team. Just got absolutely fucking pummeled, man. Like I'm sorry. Points against, almost 1,800 points. That's almost 400. I'm not going to go that far, but 370 more points scored against than Brennan. That is wild, man. And he didn't score enough points to get in the playoffs no matter what. You got to put up points. You have to put up points. He could have made the playoffs, but he didn't. Because he didn't put enough points. He finished 4-9, and it makes sense because of the points against. And that's just shitty luck, man. Kelly's team, Kamara was a great value in the draft. Aaron Rodgers, he's been great this year. I'm not going to go too far.
Steal the draft, honestly.
Yeah, steal the draft. But here's his team, though. It's Aaron Rodgers, Alvin Kamara, Tyreek Hill, and that's it. That's his team. Kenny Galladay has been on his team, and he has not played. And that sucks.
And thank you so much for picking him up because I was literally going to pick him next. I remember that.
I would have picked it. Yeah, I remember watching. I was like, there's no way he gets to me because Colin's going to scoop him. And it didn't It didn't even get to you. But thank God.
Nope.
Thank God I didn't pick him.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah. Anyway, I actually want to let everyone know of a trade that I should have made a couple weeks ago. Kelly sent it to me. And it was Tyreek Hill for Aaron Jones. And I had a bunch of running back injuries, and I love to be running back heavy on my team, so I was really nervous about giving up Aaron Jones, but Kelly loved Aaron Jones. And that same week, Tyreek Hill went off for like 28 points. And then the next week, in that week, Aaron Jones didn't do, or he was injured that week. or on a bye or something. He was injured. Next week he comes back. Aaron Jones doesn't do shit. Tyreek Hill puts up another 28 points or something, and then he puts up the 50 burger. And I'm like, dude, if this guy was at my team right now, I mean, I just feel so good. I feel good with Aaron Jones because he's got a great matchup this week. But I have a bye week anyway, so I can't use him. Man, it was a trade. It was one of those trades like what could have been. So I just want to mention everyone that was in my inbox to accept, and I denied it. So if you call me an idiot, go ahead, free reign. Call me an idiot.
Hey, full disclosure, I could have done the same thing with Jacobs.
Yeah, exactly. It's you have a lot of those every year, so we won't comment much on him. And let's get to
But then
SB.
Jacobs had his 33-point game right after, so it was just tough.
Yeah, but Tyreek Hill's been so consistent. It's been nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's move on to SB's team. 10th place, last place, 4-9, least amount of points scored in the league. A lot of points scored against. I think he's second most or third most scored against behind Tom and Kelly. And that sucks. And like I said, SB's battled a lot of adversity. Austin Eckler's injured all year with that bad hammy injury. He's lost Dak. He lost Chris Godwin every week, in and out. And those were high draft picks for him. Derrick Henry wasn't great earlier in the season. He's really picked it up, but it's a little too late for his team. David Johnson was good early, and he got injured, and he hasn't been good. Cooper Kupp has been not the best this year. Just a lot of. His team was much better. I think SB, if he was healthy with Dak Prescott there and everything, I think he probably would have finished around that. He would have been in that 5, 6, possibly 4th spot, but he would have been battling for that playoff spot. I think so. So SB,
yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think if he would have stayed more healthy consistently, he probably would have beat out me or Breezy for sure. But just based on his team, I think his team when healthy is unreal, but just it just wasn't.
Yeah, so SB, I know you were talking, so you said you're done with fantasy football. I know you just meant this year, and you're just like, I'm putting away the app for right now. I'm not going to look at it, and that's fine. I understand, but we love having you in the league, man. You, like I said, you've gotten better, way better from year 1 to year 2. You're starting out. You're a much better fantasy player, and that's what we need is good competition in this league. And next year, I really hope you make a push and make the playoffs, and maybe even more. Maybe finish as one of the top teams in the league. I'd love to see that. That's what we need. I love when you shit talk. I love how involved you are in the league. It's fun. The draft trip. It's all a good time. Glad you're here, man.
Yep.
And it's just bullshit that you got last place with your shitty situation. But anyway, speaking of bullshit, I want to take a quick break to thank today's sponsor of the playoff preview, Breezy's Bullshit 101 course. Need some help talking your way out of any situation? Breezy's Bullshitting 101 course can have you trained to make shitty arguments up out of nowhere in less than 3 60-minute sessions. It is 100% backed by the Sales Learning Foundation of America and guaranteed to have you speaking out of your asshole about every subject ever in just 3 60-minute sessions. Sign up today and start bullshitting. All right, let's move on.
Oh my God,
to
dude.
the
That's
playoff
so
preview. And so basically me and Brennan both get bye weeks, and Brennan's side of the bracket is actually I have these switched on the screen, but it's actually Tom versus Colin on his side of the bracket. So Brennan's the 1 seed. He will face the winner of the 4 versus 5 seed. And that's you versus Tom. Let's go ahead and get into that matchup. We'll go through each position and we'll talk about a prediction on who's going to win. You're going to be non-biased, of course. So let's go ahead and talk. Deshaun Watson is starting at quarterback for you, going against Chicago. And Tom's got Russell Wilson going against the Jets. Clear matchup winner here is Russell Wilson. He has a much better matchup. I'm looking at the little weather emoji thing on the app, and it says it's supposed to rain in New York. It's only Wednesday, so we don't know that for sure. And Deshaun Watson is apparently supposed to be windy in Chicago. Surprise, surprise. It's going to be cold, too. How do you feel about your quarterback matchup with Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson? Russell Wilson has not been great lately, and Deshaun Watson has. What do you think?
So I'm a little sketchy with the Deshaun Watson start. I'm not going to lie. Chicago's usually good against opposing quarterbacks other than Aaron Rodgers. And it's at home for them. So obviously bad weather game. But I feel like the way I'm looking at it to make myself feel better is Deshaun Watson should have been drafted by the Bears.
Oh,
100%.
oh, we're not gonna get into
1000%.
that. Come on, what do you want to be here
Thousand
for? We don't want
percent.
to be here for an hour.
1000%. But yeah, exactly. So to me, I think it's gonna be a game where Deshaun Watson just shoves it down their throat and
Ah,
just gives them all the reason to like this is who you drafted over me. Here's why you should have drafted me.
I like that.
So
I like that prediction.
and like yeah, so like for me, I think it's deeper than like just a regular game. So I like that's why I'm a little more confident with Watson than probably most people would be. But the Russell Wilson versus Jets matchup, man,
It
that's
looks
cake.
great. It looks great. Derek Carr had a good day against the Jets last week, and most teams have. But Russ has struggled. But maybe you're probably assuming this is his bounce back game. You know,
Yeah,
the
you gotta
Giants
get
last
right.
week. Yeah, the Giants last week were they're actually a pretty good defense. So I don't think that was a
Yeah, they really
fantastic
are. They're
matchup.
very
Yeah.
underrated. Very
Yeah.
underrated.
Well, right now you're projected to lose by 15 points, and we know projections don't really mean shit. You're going to start your best lineup and hope for the best. But anyway, so on this quarterback matchup, I'll give the slight edge to Russell Wilson, but I do think Deshaun Watson can definitely hang. Let's move on to the running back group. You've got Dalvin Cook at Tampa Bay, Kenny Drake at the Giants, and then Tom has James Robinson versus Tennessee and Chris Carson versus the Jets. Overall, I think this running back combination matchup is actually fairly even. James Robinson has been so good, and Chris Carson against the Jets. Chris Carson's so involved in the offense. I think that's pretty safe. Dalvin Cook against Tampa Bay, very tough matchup, but he's gonna get tons of work. He's not gonna not have work, you know. So I think he's gonna be fine. And Kenny Drake he's been on the upswing against the Giants. The rush defense is not very good. So how do you feel about your running backs matching against his? Do you agree with me that it's pretty even? You're projected about the same as far as running back groups go for him.
Yeah, it's essentially 30 to 30. So I think like what you said is pretty fair
Yeah,
in terms because like Drake seemingly is pretty touchdown dependent lately
yeah,
because he's not getting like too much pass work. So I get that for sure. And like Cook, I like his outlook because Bison is out. I think for a few weeks. So like they didn't even want to give him that many touches last week, but because of the availability of the other running backs, I just feel like he's going to get the volume to make like to where it's like very solid week for him.
yeah.
But Robinson and Carson, man, they're going to eat against the Jets and the Titans. It's just
Yeah.
Robinson's been solid all year, and Carson's definitely. I think the Seahawks are a better team with Carson in the lineup and doing well. So I think it's going to be a very interesting running back matchup for sure.
Yeah, and sadly, I would give Tom the edge, but not by much in the group, just because James Robinson has been so reliable, and I like their matchups a little better. Kenny Drake's been touchdown dependent, but like I said, he's got a good matchup, and I think he can find the end zone again. We never know with Devin Cook; he can win you your week any week. But I'll give Tom the slight edge, even, and he has given the slight edge in projections. So, um,
Yeah,
it's not looking good for you so far. But let's move on to the wide receiver group. It makes sense with the projection that he's projected 15 more.
yeah,
Everything's very close. You know, we're not. There's no defined person who's going to score more. The wide receiver groups. We will talk about Diggs and Woods. Diggs gets Pittsburgh. Woods gets New England, and he has Allen Robinson versus Houston and Deontay Johnson versus Buffalo. And I'm looking at green on Tom's side and some orange and red on your side. I'm actually not super worried about the Stephon Diggs. I think Pittsburgh can actually be beat through the air, and what Josh Allen just did against the San Francisco 49ers, it makes me feel pretty good about him in the passing game and whatnot. I know a lot of it was Cole Beasley last week, but they're playing at night again, another primetime game. Josh Allen just played in a primetime game, and he played really well. So I'm not as worried about the matchup as it looks like on paper. So it's going to be interesting. It might come down to the Robert Woods on tomorrow night versus New England. That's going to be a tough one.
yeah. I'm not very excited about either wide receiver matchup, but I think Diggs is kind of like matchup proof at this point.
Yeah.
Like me at least, because I mean he didn't have like a ton of yards last game, but I mean he still had I think 10 receptions, and San Francisco's defense is still decent. I know they're missing pieces, but like there's Sherman's back, so like I mean they're not nobodies out there. So I think Diggs will have like a decent game, not like an explosive game, But if he scores, obviously he'll be more explosive. But I think he'll still get his. But I'm a little nervous with Woods because I'm not sure if Gilmore is going to be on Cup all game
Yeah.
or if they're going to switch or what. But his wide receivers matchups are a lot prettier than mine for sure.
Yeah, and I guess for that reason, I will give Tom the edge again on the receivers. Deontay Johnson's been really involved, and Allen
I'm
Robinson
giving Tom
against
the
Houston.
edge the whole time.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Move on to the tight ends. Goddard versus New Orleans. Kelsey versus Miami. I don't really want to even talk about this one. Kelsey is the superior white guy and superior player on this team in this matchup. So I don't want to talk about it too much. Goddard's been pretty good though. Ertz is back though, and he got involved last week. We'll see what
Yeah,
Hurts. We'll see what Hurts does. Kind of nervous, huh?
I'm still not like sold on who I'm starting yet at tight end because I don't know if like
Who else you
Andrew's gonna
got?
come back and like be okay.
Andrew.
Andrew.
I'm actually looking at it now, and Andrews has no longer the COVID designation, so you better make a roster move, bro.
Oh shit! All right, bet.
It's
I'll
okay.
do
It's
it
all
right
right.
now.
No, it's fine. You can wait till after, but just know before everyone hears the
I got
video, they might want to know that it's
Yeah,
fixed.
true.
All right, moving on to the flexes. Michael Pittman versus Las Vegas. Debo Samuel versus Indianapolis against Jarvis Landry versus Baltimore and Wayne Gallman versus Arizona. I really love Michael Pittman, man. I think it's a game he could go off. I think you really need Michael Pittman to have a fantastic game. And I predicted a good game last week. It didn't happen, but 100 yards and a touchdown would be huge for you. Would it not? You would love to see that. And Debo Samuel, again, dude, Washington's really good. Their defense is fire. Like, that's...
I know.
Oh, it's that. I'm sure that looks scary for you. You're just hoping that he gets involved in some underneath routes and gadget type plays, score a touchdown. I know that's what you're hoping for.
I'm hoping they decide to use him before the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I actually didn't pay attention to that much. It's crazy how much you don't pay attention to certain players if they're not on your team. But I heard them talking about it. They're like, "Oh, finally, Debo Samuel gets a catch." I'm like, "Whoa, what? How?"
Yeah, bro. He only had that like run for like 3 yards for like ever, and it was like, oh, we're down by 2 touchdowns. All right, we'll start throwing the ball.
He ended up getting over 10 points, right?
Yeah, he had like I think it was like 6 for like 79 yards or something like that.
Yeah. This one's pretty even. Wayne Gallman's been really good.
He has been.
He's had these are his last 6 games. 13.9, and I think basically as a starter. 13.9, 12.7, 14.2, 18.5, 16.6, 13.5. Man, he's got to be like the RB3 over the last 6 weeks. Easy. Like
Oh yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. At least easily top 5.
Yeah, that's crazy. Going to the kickers and defense, we're not going to talk about much, but I do like the Saints defense more than the Buccaneers because Jalen Hurts is starting and we don't know what he is. Getting thrown into a game where the team wasn't game scripting for you is a lot different than facing the number 1 defense where the team is scripting for you to be the quarterback. So this could be a heyday, man. The Saints could help you win your matchup, and I think that's probably what you're hoping for. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, overall, I think I agree with the projections. Since you're on the call with me, I will say I hope you somehow squeeze a victory. At least make it a tighter margin. Make it interesting for the league, some entertainment. But I gotta say I'm a little biased. I'm kind of hoping Tom squeezes by. He needs this. He needs to feel good about himself. And I don't like when you're winning the league, man. You won the league already. We don't need that. All right.
I feel that. I understand that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
But,
no, okay.
Hold on, real
go
quick.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I will agree with you. I think Tom will pull this one out, especially because it's the 3rd time we face each other this year.
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard to beat the same person 3 times.
You beat him twice. You have his number.
Yeah, but I don't know. My matchups are not looking pretty.
They don't look great.
Right now.
Yeah, they don't look great.
No.
So, any given Sunday.
Yeah, and Tom's team, like even though he has been losing, he's been putting up a lot of points. So my team needs to bring it, and it's not looking like they're gonna bring it. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Let's move on to the 4 versus the what are we on? The 3 versus the 6 seed. Jeek versus Breezy. Jeek is the 3 seed. Breezy is the 6 seed. We can't really go off the projections and say what the projection is because Breezy doesn't have a lineup right now. Do you think he does this on weeks? He puts players in there on purpose and they're not actually the people he's starting to like mess with them. I feel like he does this all the time. It's like, oh, I'm getting gutsy. I'm starting Jamal Williams. And like he will not start him. Like there's no way he doesn't roll out Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb again. Like I feel like that's what he has to do. Well, I mean, what do
Yeah, I
you?
don't like. I understand maybe not rolling out Kareem Hunt, but you have to start Nick Chubb. I don't care
I
who you are.
guess. I mean, Jamal Williams or Kareem Hunt. Like, it's like I get it. Jamal Williams is a great matchup, but most people are going to have Kareem Hunt ranked higher. They're just going to.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
so I know
I would say if not all.
yeah, he's scrambling his head. But let's start at the quarterback. Ryan Tannehill at Jacksonville versus Lamar Jackson at Cleveland. Both really good matchups. Lamar Jackson's been coming alive, a lot more rushing yards lately. He still does not look good as a passer. So I think a lot of his projection is him running the ball, which makes sense. But Tannehill's been heating up, getting Jacksonville. Great matchup. Playing down in Florida, it's going to be nice. I kind of want to get, man, I really think these guys are neck and neck. I think Lamar Jackson has a higher ceiling, but I think they're both going to finish around 22 points or something like that. I would have to call this one an even slate. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I would give Jackson the edge would be because of the rushing floor.
Yeah.
But and like you said, Tannehill's been balling lately, and hopefully AJ Brown's decent. I know he like hurt his foot or whatever, but I know Corey Davis had a big game. And I feel like they're set up, especially against Jacksonville. So
Yeah.
it's hard to say. I feel like it's pretty even, but like I might give the edge to Jackson just because he's so involved in the running game.
Yeah. Let's move on to the running back groups, and let's just go ahead and slot in Nick Chubb and put Nick Chubb and Jamal Williams as running backs. Nick Chubb, tough matchup against Baltimore, but Nick Chubb kind of dominates against Baltimore. He has in the past, so I think he's going to be fine. I think Cleveland's going to win this game, and that bodes well for Nick Chubb. And Jamal Williams, hey, if he plays him, Detroit's the best matchup you can have, so he certainly can get some work and have a good day, break off a good touchdown. But I think Jeek's got the edge here. Elliott's get Cincinnati. He looked a lot better last week, or just yesterday against the Ravens. Another reason why I think Nick Chubb will be fine. Elliott looked good, and he has not looked good. And then Dave Montgomery's been on a tear. He gets Houston. Some great matchups, man. If you look at his schedule, it's all green from week 9 down. Tennessee, Minnesota, Green Bay, Detroit, Houston, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Green Bay. Like, you could not ask for a better playoff run matchup, finish your season type schedule. It's amazing. 22.8, 25.10 his last 2 weeks. Gets Houston. I think he's a top 10 running back this week. And Elliott's right there too. I got to give Jeek the edge on the running backs.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think Montgomery, like obviously no one on the Bears is pretty, but Montgomery gets the volume, gets the work, and he's looked good. The matchup's beautiful. So I think in terms of like comparison, I think Jeek's got the edge with his matchups and just who his running backs are, what they've been putting up. Even though like Chubb has been great, he's been producing heavy, but Baltimore is a tough matchup, and who really knows what Jamal Williams will be for this matchup.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to let me just comment real quick. Everyone's giving me a lot of shit, and it's mostly Justin, for calling Dave Montgomery a practice squad running back. Those aren't my words. Those are my favorite fantasy analyst words, and he has a lot of sources in the NFL, and he says one of the sources that's really close to the Bears views him as a practice squad type running back, a guy who's not super, super impressive week in and week out, and he hasn't been up until this stretch of matchups. He has not been good, not looked great. I know their offensive line sucks, but he hasn't been fantastic. He's been the most boring RB2 you can start every single week. But now he's got a lot of good matchups, and he's playing really well, and it does lighten his view in my mind. I think Dave Montgomery's a better running back than what I gave him credit for. But I just want to let you know those weren't my words. That was me trusting my favorite fantasy analyst. So let's move on to the wide receiver group. Ridley and Perryman versus Cooper and Allen. I got to give Jeek the edge here again. Cooper is Andy Dalton's favorite target, and so he should be. He's the number one receiver in Dallas. Get Cincinnati. Great matchup. And Keenan Allen versus Atlanta. That's a fantastic matchup. And Ridley against LA. I think that should be fine, even though it's red. And then Perryman. I don't know if he's going to start Perryman. Something tells me he wants to start Ayuk. Does Ayuk have an injury or something? I'm not sure. I thought I heard something, but Terry McLaurin's on his bench. So. I think he's gonna start Terry McLaurin in Calvin Ridley. I mean, he doesn't have a flex right now, so he could still start. Perryman, but dude, no way starting Perryman. Yeah, last week he was so mad about him. There's no way. Right now, as it is, Jeek's got him by a mile. Like all of Jeek's matchups are green except for his kicker, like in
Yeah,
Hopkins. Like it's crazy.
literally even his bench, bro.
Yeah, man. Oh my God, they're all green.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
You don't think he's gonna start Evans? He's not gonna start Evans. Can he start Evans? Does he even have room?
Right with his wide receiver, I
He
would.
doesn't. He like low key doesn't have room.
I mean, maybe over Gaskin.
Hilton, and he's been good. Oh, man. Yeah, he could do it for Gaskin, but I like Gaskin. He's got a good matchup against Kansas City this week.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we'll
mean, so
see.
does Evans though against Minnesota.
Yeah, we will.
Eesh.
We'll see. As far as the flex goes, Breezy doesn't have a flex right now. Let's go ahead and slate in Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin and
Wait.
Brandon.
So why did Justin trade for Antonio Brown if he's never gonna play him? Was it just to have him?
Yeah, he just likes him, and that's why
Yeah.
he's not. He can't start him. He shouldn't have traded for a receiver when he already had fire receivers. It doesn't make any sense. It makes
Or
no
like when he
sense.
traded Brennan Hines and Corey Davis for Jimmy Graham.
Yes,
Like, what does that do for you?
nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, you're better off stream. You're better off stream the position. I will give him credit though that Jimmy Graham has fallen off a cliff right when he traded him. So, and even
still,
before
like,
that, he hasn't been consistent. He's not. He's a waiver wire tight end. He's ranked around like
He's a
15 to
Bears player.
25.
Outside of Robinson and Montgomery, who
It's
we playing?
funny because he drafted Cole Kmet and now he's the starting tight end for the team.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. Kicker
Oh,
defense. Koo obviously winning against Bucker. Koo's been great. He's only projected 7 points. Don't know how that's possible. How
Yeah, I don't know
how
why
is
they
that
even do that.
possible? It makes no sense. He's only
Dude scores like 12 each game.
yeah. That makes no sense. I don't know. And it's a green matchup. I don't know. I don't get that at all. But the Rams defense against versus New England and Bears versus Houston.
Bless you.
How do you think this is an even matchup for the defenses?
Let me see.
Or you think
I
the
do like
Rams?
the Rams this week,
Yeah.
honestly, but I think I'd have to give the edge to the Rams
Me
because
too.
the Bears.
Me
I
too.
think the Bears are gonna get shit on. They always do.
The
Like,
Bears
it's not
are they're a great defense. They have some of the best talent in the league on that side of the ball, but they've been kind of getting a lot of credit for what they have been in the past. Do you agree? Their defense has not been great lately. They just gave up 34 to the Lions.
Yeah, no, so it's good in spurts, and it's
Yeah.
based on how the offense does. And usually the offense is terrible.
Yeah.
So when the offense is terrible, obviously it doesn't coincide very well with the defense. But to your point, like Mac, I think he hasn't had a sack in like maybe 4 or 5 games or something like that. But
Really?
like, yeah, because they obviously double team him all the time, but like, it's not what it was. I mean that season was I think 37 turnovers. I mean that's crazy.
That was nuts.
But
The takeaways
yeah,
that season were crazy.
yeah. So I mean it's definitely not. They're definitely not as good as they were,
Yeah.
but it's because their offense slows them down. I feel like.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to watch for sure. Overall, so everything we talked about, do you think Jake wins this matchup and by a good margin, or do you think he squeezes by, or what do you think?
So if Breezy's playing the game that he's playing, if he's just trying to go for like complete,
Upside?
like positive, complete upside, I think he's going to lose very heavily. But if he plays his starters the way he should, I think it'll be close. But just with the way Cheeks wide receivers have been playing, bro, it's kind of tough to not give it.
How can he possibly sit T.J. Hawkinson?
Yeah. And I
don't believe this lineup at all. This lineup is so fraudulent right now. You're wasting time in our video right now. That's what's going on, Breezy. Fuck you. Fuck you for this shit. This is bullshit. All right. Well, overall, I do my predictions, and you can be biased in your side. That's fine. I will predict that Jeek will move on to play me in round 2, and Tom will move on to play Brennan in round 2. How do you feel about this? Just overall. Well, I know give yourself some credit if you got a gut feeling you're gonna win, move yourself on. But what do you think?
So, my realistic feeling is I'm not very confident, but I think I have pieces that could like explode to push me over. But I think Tom has the edge for sure this week. But I'm just hoping I can pull something out. But
Okay.
if Breezy's gonna play this way, the way he's got his
Let's say
lineup
no.
set, I
Let's
think
let's say he optimizes it. Do you still think Jeek wins?
um honestly yes, based on matchups and just
They're great, man. They're great.
yeah, I just it's hard not to. I just feel like his team's like from head to toe a little bit more complete,
Yeah.
but I think it'll be a good matchup regardless, though.
Oh
Like, we'll
God,
see.
if Jeek wins the championship,
Stop.
oh my God, I haven't even really thought about that.
You know, neither.
I think
Fuck.
if you have on terms of shit talking, whoever in the playoffs, who would you want to win the most, and who would you want to win the least? And I'll do it in order for me as far as who I don't want to hear it from. Basically, who I don't want to win the least, like I don't want this guy to win at all, is probably. This is tough. It's got to be between Justin and Breezy.
It's
Yeah,
between me too. Or
yeah,
like
yeah.
between them for me
So
too.
you're saying, all right, you're saying, I think Breezy's a little more respectable. Justin will just bring the bullshit, man. Like he will not stop running his mouth if he wins. So he's for sure last. Like I don't want him to win. Then Breezy, and then I don't know why, and it's true, Brennan. It's true. I don't know what I have against you, but for some reason there's something there. I just never think you deserve it, and I don't know why I feel that way. I have no information to back it up, ever. I'm telling you right now. You
Oh
can ask me
shit.
why, like Steve. Why do you hate me? I don't hate you. I just don't like when you win. And I don't like when you have this 11-2 season with the points against you have. It's not honest. It's not the honest value of your team, how it should be. But you're third to last. It's okay. You're in the middle of the pack.
Damn,
And then
bro.
it actually goes to you, Colin. I don't like when you win because you've already won and you don't need it. And you low key, you've got a horseshoe up your butthole sometimes, man. You get lucky. And I think you can. I think you got you get lucky in life sometimes. I don't know your life that much, but I think that happens. So, Colin, you're
Hey, I feel
that.
like preparation brings out luck more than
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think.
whatever. And then I'll go with Tom because he's my brother, and I really want him to win. Tom needs the positivity in his life sometimes, so I will give that to him. Overall, guys, it's going to be a fantastic playoffs. I cannot wait to play my playoff matchup next week. It's going to be a good week one. I wish we all lived super close to each other so we can all get together and watch the games. How fun would that be? We all go in someone's nice
Fuck yeah.
finished basement or something like that, drink some brews, watch the games. We're all together, hands around each other's shoulders, and we hear Scott Hansen say 7 hours of commercial-free football starting now, and we all just fucking get so amped and shotgun a beer. Oh my
Hell
God. That would be raw. Oh man, just thinking about that. I got a boner right now. This is crazy.
yeah.
More in these
Oh, you
tight.
too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Glad you want to touch them through the screen. All right. Yeah. Here we go. That was it, guys. That was the Busch League season recap and playoff preview presented by our sponsors. Don't forget to go over to the websites, Cheeks Dads, WholeFiller.com, and also Breezy's Bullshit 101course.net. Go check those out. Some fantastic deals you're not going to want to miss out on. We'll do maybe another preview next week if whoever's free, Tom, Colin, whoever wants to do it. We'll do another preview next week. Be a little shorter because we won't want to do the season recap. But hope you guys enjoyed. Colin, thanks for coming by. We'll talk to you guys next
Absolutely.
week. Good luck to everyone, but mostly not Jeek and Breezy, even though they're playing each other. Peace out, guys.
Peace out, y'all.